Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Speak. Today we are going to be reading our sections for assignment number 2. In fact, the sections for assignment number 2. We have 4 of them. We'll be reading Spotlight. We will be reading Sanctuary. We will be reading Espanol, and we will be reading Homework. Now, notice it's not homework; it's homework. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Okay, so let's learn a little bit more about our main character. We still don't even know her name yet. What we do know is that she is very sarcastic and cynical. We'll find out why as time goes on. But the most important thing we found out is that nobody likes her. Everybody dislikes her. Her ex-best friends all hate her. And it's not just that her ex-friends hate her. It's that everybody in the school apparently seems to dislike her. They're throwing garbage on her. They're laughing at her. They're bumping her. They're leaving her out of things. You'll see as we go on. And the question becomes why? What happened? And we will find out as time goes on what happened. But let's just see. All right. So Spotlight. Now, again, your homework for today, you know it. You have to define those words for assignment number 2. You have to give me 2 original sentences from those words. You have to answer questions from assignment number 2. And of course, you have to give me a 1-paragraph open-ended essay answering the question and making sure you give me details from your life and from the book, and examples as well from your life and from the book. So let's go. Spotlight. I find my locker after social studies. The lock sticks a little, but I open it. I dive into the stream of 4th period lunch students and swim down the hall to the cafeteria. I know enough not to bring lunch on the first day of high school. There's no way of telling what the acceptable fashion will be. Brown bags, humble testament to suburbia, or terminal geek gear. Insulated lunch bags, hip way to save the planet, or sign of an over-involved mother. Buying is the only solution. So what she's talking about is this ridiculousness that in high school, you have to worry about what you're doing and make sure everybody agrees with what you're doing. It's this whole idea of, pleasing everybody. And what she's saying is, I have enough problems with my life that, everybody dislikes me, that I don't want to do the wrong thing out there. So I don't know if bringing your lunch is a nerdy thing to do or not. So I'm just going to buy lunch. And it gives me time to scan the cafeteria for a friendly face or an inconspicuous corner. The hot lunch is turkey with reconstituted dried mashed potatoes and gravy, a damp green vegetable, and a cookie. I'm not sure how to order anything else, so I just slide my tray along and let the lunch drones fill it. This 8-foot senior in front of me somehow gets 3 cheeseburgers, French fries, and 2 ho-hos without saying a word. Some sort of Morse code with his eyes, maybe. I must study this further. I follow the basketball pole into the cafeteria. I see a few friends, people I used to think were my friends, but they look away. So why do they look away, ladies and gentlemen? They were watching her, and the minute she sees them, they look away because they don't want her coming near them. Think fast, think fast. There's that new girl, Heather, reading by the window. I could sit across from her, or I could crawl behind a trash can, or maybe I could dump my lunch straight into the trash and keep moving right on out the door. The basketball pole waves to a table of friends. Of course, the basketball team. They all swear at him, a bizarre greeting practiced by athletic boys with zits. He smiles and throws a ho-ho. I try to scoot around him. Thwap! A lump of potatoes and gravy hits me square in the center of my chest. All conversation stops as the entire lunchroom gawks, my face burning into their retinas. I will be forever known as that girl who got nailed by potatoes the first day. The basketball pole apologizes in something else, but 400 people explode in laughter and I can't read lips. I ditch my tray and bolt for the door. So here's the question. Did the basketball player hit her with those potatoes on purpose? The fact that he starts to apologize tells me no, it was an accident. But everybody in the entire cafeteria, 400 people, all point at her and laugh at her. And they're going to be talking about that all day and in the future. I will say that this is not fiction. I did see this happen once years ago during cafeteria duty. I saw a girl, she was sitting on a table. I actually told her to get off the table because it might break under her. She didn't listen. She got up, waited till I turned around. She sat back down on the table. What happened? The table broke and all the food fell on top of her. Everything. She was covered in stuff. And guess what everybody in the cafeteria did? It was awful. They all laughed at her and she ran out of the cafeteria crying. It's exactly what happened to our main character right now. Listen, I motor so fast out of the lunchroom, the track coach would draft me for varsity if he were around. But no, Mr. Neck has calf duty. And Mr. Neck has no use for girls who can run the 100 in under 10 seconds, unless they're willing to do it while holding onto a football. Mr. Neck, we meet again. Me. Would he listen to, I need to go home and change? Or did you see what Bozo did? Not a chance. I kept my mouth shut. So this poor girl just had food thrown on at her. And she's running out of the cafeteria so she can go clean herself up and get away from the laughing. And this teacher, rather than, say, oh my God, are you okay? Come here, let's fix you up. Let's go get you some new clothes. Let's take you to the nurse so they can wipe you down. Anything. He gets mad at her. Listen, where do you think you're going? Me. It is easier to say. It is easier not to say anything. Shut your trap, button your lip, can it? All that crap you hear on TV about communication and expressing feelings is a lie. Nobody really wants to hear what you have to say. So it is at this point that she decides it's better to say nothing. So she doesn't speak at all. Notice the name of this book is Speak. And we're seeing now that this girl is going to decide to stop speaking. Mr. Neck makes a note in his book. I knew you were trouble the first time I saw you. I've taught here for 24 years, and I can tell what's going on in a kid's head just by looking in their eyes. Oh my God, have you ever had a teacher like that? They look at you and say, I can tell you're trouble. And he just said, I can tell what's going on in your head just by looking in your eyes. No, he can't. No more warnings. You just earned a demerit for wandering the halls without a pass. Sanctuary. Art follows lunch like dreams follow nightmare. The classroom is at the far end of the building and has long south-facing windows. The sun doesn't shine much in Syracuse. Oh, so now we know our setting. This is in Syracuse, which is in upstate New York. So the art room is designed to get every bit of light it can. Just so you know, up in Syracuse, it's very gray all the time up there. My brother went to school near there in Rochester, and he said that it would be sunny and blue maybe 20 or 30 days out of the year. The rest of the time, it's gray and bleak and rainy and cold, or snowing and cold. The sun doesn't shine much in Syracuse, so the art room is designed to get every bit of light it can. It is dusty in a clean dirt kind of way. The floor is layered with dry splotches of paint, the walls plastered with sketches of tormented teachers and fat puppies, teenagers and fat puppies, the shelves crowded with clay pots. A radio plays my favorite station. Mr. Freeman is ugly. Big old grasshopper body like a stilt-walking circus guy, nose like a credit card sunk between his eyes. But he smiles at us as we file into class. Look at this. So she has a teacher who actually smiles at her when she comes into class. He wants her to be there. He's not like Mr. Neck, who's angry at her for being alive, or any of these other jerk teachers who won't even look at her. This guy wants to help her. But he smiles at us as we follow into class. He is hunched over a spinning pot, his hands muddy red. Welcome to the only class that will teach you how to survive, he says. Welcome to art. I sit at a table close to his desk. Ivy is in this class. She sits by the door. I keep staring at her, trying to make her look at me. That happens in movies. People can feel it when other people stare at them, and they just have to turn around and say something. By the way, is that true? Can you feel when somebody is staring at you? You absolutely can. That's a sixth sense. It can't be scientifically explained, but I know when people are staring at me from behind. Either Ivy has a great force field or my laser vision isn't very strong. She won't look back at me. I wish I could sit with her. She knows art. So we're finding out that Ivy is one of her ex-best friends as well. And you know Ivy can feel her looking at her. She just won't look back because she doesn't want to make eye contact with her. Mr. Freeman turns off the wheel and grabs a piece of chalk without washing his hands. Soul, he writes on the board. The clay streaks the word like dried blood. This is where you can find your soul if you dare. Where you can touch that part of you that you've never dared look at before. Do not come here and ask me to show you how to draw a face. Ask me how to help you find the wind. I sneak a peek behind me. The eyebrow telegraph is flashing fast. In other words, everybody's eyes are going like this. Like, what the heck is this guy talking about? And I ask you, he's pretty weird. Are art teachers normally weird like that? Like, are they a little bit more different? This guy is weird. He must see it. He must know what we're thinking. He keeps on talking. He says we will graduate knowing how to read and write because we'll spend 1,000,000 hours learning how to read and write. I could argue that point. She's sarcastically saying that a lot of these kids won't be able to do those two things. Mr. Freeman, why not spend that time on art, painting, sculpting, charcoal, pastel oils? Are words or numbers more important than images? Who decided this? Does algebra move you to tears? Hands raised, thinking he wants answers. Can the plural possessive express the feelings in your heart? If you don't learn art now, you will never learn how to breathe. There is more. For someone who questions the value of words, he sure uses a lot of them. I tune out for a while and come back when he holds up a huge globe that is missing half of the northern hemisphere. Can anyone tell me what this is, he asks. A globe? Ventures a voice in the back. Mr. Freeman rolls his eyes. Was it an expensive sculpture that some kid dropped and had to pay for it out of his own money, or they didn't let him graduate? Asks another. Mr. Freeman sighs. No imagination. What are you, 13, 14? You've already let them beat your creativity out of you? This is an old globe I used to let my daughters kick around my studio when it was too wet to play outside. One day, Jenny put her foot right through Texas and the United States crumbled into the sea, and voila, an idea. This broken ball could be used to express such powerful visions. You could paint a picture of it with people fleeing from the hole, with a wet-muzzled dog chewing Alaska. The opportunities are endless. It's almost too much, but you are important enough to give it to. Huh? You will each pick a piece of paper out of the globe. He walks around the room so we can pull red scraps from the center of the earth. On the paper, you will find one word, the name of an object. I hope you like it. You will spend the rest of the year learning how to turn that object into a piece of art. You will sculpt it, you will sketch it, paper mache it, carve it. If the computer teacher is talking to me this year, you can use the lab for computer-aided designs. But there's a catch. By the end of the year, you must figure out how to make your object say something, express an emotion, speak to every person who looks at it. People groan. My stomach flutters. Can he really let us do this? It sounds like too much fun. He stops at my table. I plunge my hand into the bottom of the globe and I fish out my paper. Tree? Tree? It's too easy. I learned how to draw a tree in second grade. I reach in for another piece of paper. Mr. Freeman shakes his head. He says, you just chose your destiny. You can't change that. He pulls a bucket of clay from under the pottery wheel, breaks off fist-sized balls, and tosses one to each of us. Then he turns up the radio and laughs. Welcome to the journey. Espanol. My Spanish teacher is going to try to get through the entire year without speaking English to us. This is both amusing and useful. Makes it much easier to ignore her. She communicates through exaggerated gestures and play acting. It's like taking a class in charades. She says a sentence in Spanish and puts the back of her hand to her forehead. You have a fever, someone from class yells out. She shakes her head no and repeats the gesture. You feel faint. No. She goes out to the hall, then bursts through the door, looking busy and distracted. She turns to us, surprised to see us, then does the bit with the back of the hand to the forehead. You're lost. You're angry. You're in the wrong school. You're in the wrong country. You're on the wrong planet. She tries one more time and smacks herself so hard on the forehead she staggers a bit. Her forehead is as pink as her lipstick. The guesses continue. You can't believe how many kids are in this class. You forgot how to speak Spanish. You have a migraine. You're going to have a migraine if we don't figure it out. In desperation, she writes a sentence in Spanish on the board. Me sorprende que estoy tan cansado hoy. No one knows what it says. We don't understand Spanish. That's why we're here. Finally, some brain gets out the Spanish-English dictionary. We spend the rest of the period trying to translate the sentence. When the bell rings, we have gotten as far as to exhaust the day to surprise. Home, work. Notice the difference there. She has a period between home and work. I don't think she does homework. Listen, home, work. I make it through the first 2 weeks of school without a nuclear meltdown. Heather from Ohio sits with me at lunch and calls to talk about English homework. She can talk for hours. All I have to do is prop the phone against my ear and occasionally while I surf the cable. Rachel and every other person I've known for 9 years continues to ignore me. I'm getting bumped a lot in the halls. A few times my books were accidentally ripped from my arms and pitched to the floor. I try not to dwell on it. It has to go away eventually. Did you hear what's happening to her? All right, so her old friends are ignoring her. Okay, that's one thing. But listen to what's happening in the halls. I'm getting bumped a lot in the halls. So people are banging into her on purpose. And then she says a few times my books were accidentally ripped from my arms and pitched to the floor. Guys, can your books be accidentally ripped from your arms? No, people are grabbing her books and throwing them on the floor away from her. I try to dwell on it. Try not to dwell on it. It has to go away eventually. Now, question, does it have to go away eventually? The answer is no. They could do this to her forever for the next 4 years. At first. And by the way, here's my question. Where are the teachers in all this? Are they not noticing that this is happening? Do they not care? At first, Mom was pretty good about preparing dinners in the morning and sticking them in the fridge, but I knew it would end. I come home to a note that says pizza 555-4892. Small tip this time. Clipped to the note is a $20 bill. My family has a good system. We communicate with notes on the kitchen counter. I write when I need school supplies or a ride to the mall. They write what time they'll be home from work and if I should thaw anything. What else is there to say? Oh my God, I could spend 10 minutes talking about that. What else is there to say with your family? How is school? How's your friends? What's going on? Any homework? Are you worried? How's your teachers? Are they nice? Are they weird? There's so many things to talk about with your kid and with your family. That's why we're family. We just found out they don't talk to each other in their family. They communicate with notes on the counter. That's how they talk to each other in this family. So not only does our main character not talk at school, we're finding out she doesn't talk at home. Now, think about this. would your parents allow you not to talk to them? I mean, for how long would that last before they were like, get over here, talk to me? I mean, I know I wouldn't allow that from my daughters. Are you kidding me? What else is there to say? She says there's everything to say. Life is there to say. Let's continue. Mom is having staff problems again. My mother manages Efforts, a clothing store downtown. Her boss offered her the branch at the mall, but she didn't want it. I think she likes watching the reaction when she says she works in the city. Aren't you afraid? People ask. I would never work there in a million years. Mom loves doing the things that other people are afraid of. She could have been a snake handler. But the downtown location makes it hard to find people to work for her. Daily shoplifters, bums peeing on the front door, and the occasional armed robbery discourage job seekers. Go figure. We are now 2 weeks into September, and she's already thinking Christmas. She has passed plastic snowflakes and red felt wearing Santas on the brain. If she can't find enough employees for September, she'll be in deep doo-doo when the holiday season hits. I order my dinner at 3:10 and eat it on the white couch. I don't know which parent was having seizures when they bought that couch. The trick to eating on it is to turn the messy side of the cushions up. The couch has two personalities. Melinda inhaling pepperoni and mushroom, and no one ever eats in the family room, no ma'am. I chow and watch TV until I hear Dad's Jeep in the driveway. Flip, flip, flip. Cushions reverse to show their pretty white cheeks. Then I bolt upstairs. By the time Dad unlocks the door, everything looks the way he wants to see it, and I have vanished. Look at this. So when her dad comes home from work, she actually runs upstairs, and Dad walks in, and that's the way he wants to see it. He wants an empty living room. He doesn't want to have a daughter to talk to or be bothered with. My question is, why have kids anyway? If you don't want to talk to them, what the heck is going on in this house? My room belongs to an alien. It is a postcard of who I was in 5th grade. I went through a demented phase when I thought that roses should cover everything and pink was a great color. It was all Rachel's fault. She begged her mom to let her do her room over, so we all ended up with new rooms. Nicole refused to put the stupid little skirt around her nightstand, and Ivy had gone way over the top, as usual. Jessica did hers in a dessert and cow dudes theme. My room was stuck in the middle, a bit stolen from everyone else. The only things that were really mine were my stuffed rabbit collection from when I was a little kid and my canopy bed. No matter how much Nicole teased me, I couldn't take the canopy down. I'm thinking about changing the rose wallpaper, but then Mom would get involved and Dad would measure the walls and they would argue about paint color. I don't know what I would want it to look like anyway. So think about that. She says she's unhappy with the rose colors of her wall. She wants to change it, but she doesn't want to because Mom would get involved. In other words, she would have to talk to her mom, and then her mom and dad would have to talk, and then they would come into her room. So rather than do it the way she wants, she does nothing because she doesn't want to talk to her parents or have a conversation with them. Homework is not an option. My bed is sending out serious nap rays. I can't help myself. The fluffy pillows and warm comforter are more powerful than I am. I have no choice but to snuggle under the cover. So look at that. Homework is not an option. That's not saying that she doesn't have any homework. That's saying she's not going to do it. She would rather lay in her bed and nap. You would think that's fiction, but I have a ton of students who tell me they go home and nap every day. So what about your homework? Whatever. I get to it when I get to it. I'm just too tired. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's insane. I actually saw people fail out of college because they spent all their time napping and sleeping during the day. I watched them fail out and leave and lose tens of thousands of their parents' dollars because they would rather sleep than do their work. OMG. So I'm guessing that looking at Melinda, our main character, we haven't found out her name yet, but I can tell you now it's Melinda. I just gave it away. We'll find that out in a little while. That Melinda's not going to do very well in school. And are her parents going to care? I don't know. They don't seem to care much about anything. I hear Dad turn on the television, clink, clink, clink. He drops ice cubes in a heavy bottom glass and pours in some booze. He opens the microwave for the pizza, I guess, slams it closed, and beep beeps the timer. So this is how they communicate with each other, by notes and by listening. So she knows what her father is doing by how he moves around the house at night, but she doesn't go down and say hi. I turn on my radio, and he doesn't come up and say hi. Listen to this. I turn on my radio so he'll know I'm home. Just so that he knows she's up there, she turns the radio up loud and then turns it down again. And then he says downstairs, Melinda's home. I don't have to talk to her. Don't have to talk to my daughter. Don't have to see how her day went. I won't take a real nap. Oh my gosh, look at this. I have this halfway place, a rest stop on the road to sleep where I can stay for hours. I don't even need to close my eyes. I just stay safe under the covers and breathe. Listen to this. She spends hours just laying under her covers and breathing every day after school, rather than talking to her parents, rather than doing her homework. I mean, she can't talk to her friends because they won't talk to her, but that's just weird. This tells me that this girl has serious problems. Serious problems. I mean, they said before that she bit her lip so bad that it bled. So let's start talking about all the issues that this girl has and how they're showing themselves, right? One, biting her lips till they bleed. That's really bad. Two, not talking to anybody, teachers or family members. Three, she doesn't do any work. She goes home and naps. And four, she just lays under her covers and doesn't do anything. Dad turns up the volume on the TV. The news TV anchor dude bellows. 5 dead in house fire. Young girl attack. Teen suspected in gas station holdup. I nibble on a scab on my lower lip. Dad hops from channel to channel, watching the same stories play over and over. Guys and gals, she bites on her lips so much that she now has scabs on her lips. Have you ever seen little kids, very little kids? Like, I know my nephew did this. Heck, I did this when I was very little, 5, 6, and 7. They lick their mouths over and over. They keep licking around their mouths to the point where it gets scabbed and bleeds. And how does it look? It looks really bad. It looks really bad. This girl is walking around high school with scabby lips. Not going to help. And as you know, in high school, people like to talk about other people's appearances, and they like to make fun of other people's appearances when there's something wrong, especially if they dislike her already. So, I mean, why is she walking around? Why is she biting her lips? Because there's something wrong. Listen. I'm sorry. I watched myself in the mirror. I lost my, wait. I nibble on the scab on my lower lip. Dad hops from channel to channel, watching the same stories play over and over. I watch myself in the mirror across the room. Ugh. So she now looks at herself, and her response to herself is ugh. And she says, my hair is completely hidden under the comforter. I look for the shapes in my face. Could I put a face in my tree like a dryad from Greek mythology? 2 muddy circles under black dash eyebrows, piggy nose nostrils, and a chewed up horror of a mouth. Guys, this is what she calls herself. Black dash eyebrows, piggy nose nostrils, and a chewed up horror of a mouth. Definitely not a dryad face. I can't stop biting my lips. It looks like my mouth belongs to someone else, someone I don't even know. So she can't even stop doing it. I get out of bed and I take down the mirror. I put it in the back of the closet, facing the wall. So rather than, because she doesn't like looking at herself because of her lips and everything else, she doesn't like what she sees. So rather than fix what she looks like, she hides her mirror. That is very, very telling of the fact that there's something seriously wrong with this girl. We will talk more about it as we go on. Excellent job, everybody. Make sure you get everything done, all your questions answered, all your words defined, your sentences written, and your essays written out as well. Make sure you use details and examples from your life in the story, and have a lovely day. Thank you.